Guys, coming up next, you know what time it is. The Real Talk Sports Show is about to be on the air. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, Minister Jonathan Simmons, and we thank God for those of you who are watching and are listening on the legendary WIGO Pacesetter 1570 AM. And those of you who are watching us on various platforms, whether it be Twitter, whether it be YouTube, whether it be Facebook Live, whether it be Twitch, we thank you for tuning into the broadcast. We're doing a little double, I should say, multitasking today. As you guys can see, I'm here at my office. I have a full-time job. I work for Allen Vigil Ford and Lincoln. And as you guys know, they're one of our primary sponsors, and we thank God for them letting us on a Saturday squeeze in and chop it up with you guys. We're very appreciative of them and him, and you guys will see some of their great advertisements coming up in just a bit. And I also want to let you guys know, as I mentioned, I'm a commercial account rep here. And for those of you who've been looking for cars, looking for vehicles, good news. We actually have a good assortment of vehicles here, both new and pre-owned, new Lincolns, new Fords, and pre-owned vehicles of every make and model, Mercedes, Jeep, Ram, Chrysler, Chevrolet, Toyota, whatever you're looking for, we have it right here. And good news, you can contact me. That's right. Contact yours truly. Hit me up at 678-364-3979, and we would love to assist you with all your vehicle needs. We're right here for you. And who better to help you than the minister, right? I'm just saying. So check us out at Allen Vigil Ford. And here's the cool thing. You actually can shop them 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net. And if you're watching, there it is on the screen, allenvigilford.net. Stop them 24/7. And here's how you do it. If you see a particular vehicle that you like, all you have to do is hit me up the stock number and call me up, set an appointment, have you guys come on out and take a look at the vehicle. Or good news, we actually can deliver the vehicle right to your home or office. That's right. We can set you up with a test drive. Just like I said, give me a call, 678-364-3979, and we'll be more than happy to assist you with your brand new or pre-owned vehicle needs, whichever it may apply. I'm just saying. Well, guys, it's as always, it's always great stuff going on in the world of sports, and this weekend is no different. If you have a television, you might have to strap it onto your head. No, I'm just joking. The good news is now almost everything today is being streamed, so you can do it on your phone, you can do it on your tablet, no problem. You should be able to watch all the action because it is jam-packed. We have March Madness for men, March Madness for women. We have the Hawks, if you're in the Atlanta area, playing today. As a matter of fact, no matter where you are, you got NBA games all this weekend, and we're getting right down just 9 games left in the season. That's right, 9 games left as all the teams are making their playoff push. So if you are a sports wonk, it's right there. And if you like football, well, you know that it's free agency time. We just came out of the combine, so there's just great stuff to talk about, lots of stuff to talk about, and we want to talk about it with you. So here's what I'm going to do. If you want to be a part of the broadcast, I'm going to let you do so. Up on your screen, for those of you who are watching, you will see there will be a link. If you copy and paste this link into your cell phone, or you want to put it on your laptop, preferably with a headset, you will be able to actually be a part of this show. You say, Minister, for real? That is absolutely correct. You're going to see it pop up here, right here. And to join us on the show, I'm just going to type it in really quickly. So please bear with me as I do that. So I'm just going to tell you here to join in on the conversation. What you have to do is go ahead and, like I said again, just click it, paste it, boom. And I'm going to, again, type that in right there. There it is. My typing is a little bit slow. You have to excuse me for that. And you'll see it on the social media screen in just a second. Bam! There it is right there. And for those of you watching, there it is right here. To join us on the show, that's the link. I'm not going to repeat the link because it's too long and lengthy, but it is right there. Click on the link. You can join us on the broadcast. And here's the cool thing. It's like Zoom. So if you say, hey, I really don't want to be seen, but I want to be heard, just go ahead and use your avatar. And we can go ahead and just hear you and the avatar pop up and we won't see you at all. I get it Saturday morning. You probably your hair might not be right. You might have stuff going on, so it's all good. But at the end of the day, we'd love to have you be a part of the broadcast. We'd like to have your opinions on what's going on here. So the question that we asked, I'm gonna pop it up on the screen for you here. March Madness. I mean, is this what we've been pining for? Is this March Madness better than ever? I mean, that's my question. Is this kind of what has it gone back to what we used to see back in the 80s and 90s? I'm dating myself, where it was really just must see TV. Well, we're going to ask that question and talk about that in just a few minutes after our first break with a guy that is right there on the scene. We've had him on our show before. He also is a contributor to 92.9 The Game, which is one of the biggest sports stations in the Southeast, based right here in Atlanta. And I'm talking about my man, Mr. Deshaun Tate. That guy's like a road warrior. We're going to talk to him. He is a basketball, I call him our basketball savant. Certainly is a guru of all things basketball, especially college and professional. So we're going to look to have him about in the 10-15 spot. Talking about that. We've also invited our good buddy D. Orlando Ledbetter. Now his schedule is a little compressed. We don't know if we're going to have him, but we have scheduled him for the 10:30 a.m. segment. We're going to talk a little bit about the Falcons and the NFL, but especially the Falcons, how they look in free agency, what some of the moves they might make in the draft. Are they going to, stay where they are 8? If they do, they're going to draft the young cornerback out of Oregon, Gonzalez, or if Jalen Carter's around from Georgia, they're going to bring in the big stud defensive tackle to go along with Grady Jarrett and other moves they made on the defense. We don't know, but we want to have your opinion about it. And like I said again, if you want to join us on the show, here it is right here. Dun, 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 dun. Just go ahead and copy and paste the link. I'll put it up right here again if I can see it again. Dun, 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 dun. And here it is. This is one thing about live, guys. And when you're doing some multitasking as a producer and on air host, a lot of moving parts. There it is right there. To join us on the show, click on this link and go ahead. And what will happen is you'll be in our green room. And what we'll do is we'll either bring you on, no face, just your avatar, or however your avatar is, whatever you got going on, but we can hear your audio. Or if you just say, "Hey, look, I'm my makeup's on fleek, my hair's right." If you're a fella, you got everything lined up, and you want to be on the screen, you want to take your shot at being an on-air host and on-air guest participant. Join us. There's the link. Click it on, and pop right in and join us today. And for those of you who are listening, you're saying, "Well, brother, I'm only listening." Well, I'm glad that you're listening, and hopefully you're tuned in as you're driving your car around and you're saying, "Oh my gosh, we got a sports show on our favorite gospel and R&B station." Well, you are absolutely correct. And the good news is we also are looking for people to join us on the show as far as good stories in sports. If you're in Clayton County, if you're in Henry County, if you're in South Fulton, if you're in South DeKalb, wherever you are in Atlanta, but especially if you're in the South Side, Henry County, we'd love to have you on the show. If you have a high school student, you have a college coach, even if you have a school that you really want to kind of give a shout out to, please, ma'am, please, sir, uh, give me a call. I'm going to give you my cell phone number. It's 678-410-9833, or you can send me an email to Jay Simmons, that's JSIMMONS at realtalksports.net. There it is on the screen for those of you who are watching. Like I said, Jay Simmons at realtalksports.net. So that's the letter J, SIMMONS at realtalksports.net, or hit me up on the cell phone, 678 410 9833. And like I said, again, we would love to have you be a part of the broadcast. I'm just checking here our time here to make sure that we are on point, and we are on point for all of our things that are happening. Again, big shout out to our premier sponsor for high school football. We do the live telecast for high school football live stream Friday nights. So we do our own version of Friday Night Live. And again, that is brought to you guys by premier sponsor Allen Vigil Ford and Lincoln. And like I said, they're located at 6790 Mount Zion Boulevard in the city of Morrow, Georgia, right in the center of Clayton County. And you can shop them 24/7 online at AlanVigilFord.net. Or, you know what they say, you got a friend in the business? That would be moi. You can hit me up at 678-410-9833. And like I said, again, I am a commercial account manager here, but I am also able to do regular sales to regular folks like you. So, like I said, if you need something, there's my cell phone for those of you who are watching right on the phone, 678-410-9833. Like I said, we'd love to have you as part of the broadcast. Well, before we go any further, we definitely want to give our condolences to the family and friends of Nick Legend, New York Knicks legend. Willis Reed passed away earlier this week at the age of 80. This guy was a legend, a NBA Hall of Famer. And for me, I will tell you, growing up in the New York area in Connecticut, just outside of New York City, it was phenomenal. As I think I was about 9 or 10 years old at the time, probably about 10 years old, when the Knicks made this fantastic run to an NBA title. And it was really funny because during that stretch of time, 69, 70, it was like New York City became Title Town, USA. It was unbelievable as one New York team after another, in essence, shook up the world and won world titles. The New York Metropolitans, you guys know I'm here, especially in Atlanta, the New York Mets, they were the champions of baseball, knocked off the highly favored Baltimore Orioles, which was packed with future Hall of Famers, beat them and won the world title in baseball. And then the New York Knicks, led by the captain, the late great Willis Reed, and a guy who's fortunately still alive and with us and still doing some basketball, Walter Clyde Frazier. And for you Atlantans, you will know that Walt was born right here in Atlanta, grew up here and played basketball, high school basketball right here. That legendary team that knocked off the Lakers, led by Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, just a host of great players. And the captain, Willis Reed, led the way. And what sticks out in my mind was, and I'm sure you guys have seen it if you watch ESPN, one of the most iconic moments in sports. Willis Reed had gotten injured before, I believe it was game 7. And the thought was he was not going to be able to play in that game. And without him, obviously, people were thinking there's no way the Knicks were going to be able to knock off the Lakers, especially, with Wilt Chamberlain there and no Willis Reed, what would happen? Well, all of a sudden, right before the start of the game, right during the pregame warmups, another legend, a broadcast legend, jumped onto the mic and told us the fact that the captain is now coming onto the court. As Willis Reed, somewhat hobbled, came onto the court for the warm-ups. The Madison Square Garden, the old Madison Square Garden, went bananas. As announcer again, Marv Albert, who was doing the telecast, just said the captain is coming onto the court. And even as I'm talking about it, I mean, like literally, I can feel the excitement, energy, almost even tears, thinking about this moment as he came out. And then he started the game, came out, hit 2 quick jumpers, and then went back to the bench. But it so electrified the crowd, so energized his teammates that the Knicks went on to win, led by Walt Frazier, who had a legendary performance himself. I think he scored about 40 points and had, I think, 10 or 15 assists. Clearly a double-double, might have been a triple-double. But yeah, it was just a phenomenal moment in New York sports history and in sports history in general. So again, we want to give a big shout out, condolences to the family and the friends of the legendary New York Knicks center, simply called the captain, Willis Reed, gone from this world at age 80. I can't say gone too soon, because the Lord certainly, when He bless you with 80 years, that's a big deal. But certainly His presence, a giant of a man, will be missed, because he was not just a giant on the court, but giant off the court as well. Was a well-respected individual, impacted the community around him, and was a great friend and great mentor to many. So again, big shout out um, to his legacy, and we offer condolences to the family and friends of the late great Willis Reed. Well, here's what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna take a little time out and a break so we can let you guys hear a little bit more about our sponsors, and we'll be back with more of the Real Talk Sports Show, broadcasting to you live from Alan Vigil Ford in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Hang tight. We'll be right back.
Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Well, check out Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We have one of the largest inventories in our area for both new and pre-owned vehicles, so we're sure to have something for everyone. Family owned and operated since 1982, customer satisfaction is our number one priority. Come see our full lineup of vehicles and find the one that best fits you. Give us a call today, 678-726-5739, or shop us 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net. The day has arrived. It's time to let more people know about your business. You have the right marketing plan and the messaging in place. But do you have the right messenger? Good advertising and promotions need a professional sound so the message can be clearly understood. Don't leave your brand image to chance. Let our team of voiceover experts at CME lend you a hand. Give us a call at 678-304-8121 to find out how we can partner with you to give your business its voice.
All right, we're back. You're watching the Real Talk Sports Show as we broadcast you live from the offices, my offices, in fact, at Allen Vigil Ford in Lincoln. They are our premier sponsor for high school football during the fall, and they are my full-time employee here. And I wanted to let you guys know that good news. If you, in fact, as you just saw in that commercial, if you're in the market for a Ford, we actually do have vehicles available right now in stock. So all you have to do is give me a call, 678-364-3979. I'll be more than happy to help you whatever you need in the way of a vehicle. We have, like I said, new Fords, new Lincolns. We have used cars of every type. So again, hit me up. I'll put it up on the screen for those of you who are watching. This is for the show, but you also can reach me this way as well. Hit me up, Jay Simmons at realtalksports.net, or simply call me on the cell phone, 678-364-3979, and we'd be more than happy to assist you, whatever you need in automobile. We will help you. But especially if you need anything if you for your business, I'm your guy because I do primarily B2B sales. And like I said, we love to assist you any way you can. Now, if you want to, well, okay, little commercial. If you want to see more about what's going on at the dealership, well, good news. You can shop them 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net. And that shows you all of our inventory of our new Fords, our new Lincolns, even shows you some of the stuff we have coming in. It also shows you our entire inventory of used cars as well. So again, hit up Allen Vigil Ford, shop 'em online 24/7 at allenvigilford.net. Well, we're waiting again for our featured guest for the day, Mr. Deshaun Tate. Now, he is out at one of the Elite Eight locations. He's been covering the March Madness for one of the premier radio stations in all the country, but certainly the number one sports station in the South, 92.9 The Game, based right here in Atlanta. He is one of their featured basketball analysts, and we look forward to having him join us at some point, during the program to talk to us about what he's seeing live and in person at March Madness, because that was my question earlier. I mean, has March Madness really gotten back to, what we were used to, especially those of you OGs like me remember it from the 80s and 90s and some of the legendary teams that played. Speaking of legendary teams, we had I guess you would call it kind of successor to those teams. The Houston Cougars unfortunately went down in flames, and that meant the absolute end of me having any chance at all to still claim victory in my bracket. Houston was the team that was I had picked to win it all, and unfortunately they're out. And as we have in March Madness, all these number one seeds have been, because the number one overall seed, Alabama, is also out as well. So it's really just been a topsy-turvy March Madness. And I think this is why, to me, I'm wondering, asking the question, is it even better than ever? Because we haven't seen this, like I said, in a long, long, long time. So please, if you want to join the broadcast, join in with your comments. You can go ahead and be a part of the show and pop it up on the screen for you one more time here. You can just hit the link and put it into your phone or into your laptop, and you can join us. Like I said, I know you may not want to come on. You say, brother, I don't want to be seen. No problem. It's like Zoom. Just put your avatar up there, or just it'll pop up with just your name, Jane Smith, and you'll be able to be a part of the broadcast via the audio so people can hear your voice and see your name and you get some props. Or if you say, look, I've always wanted to be an on-air host. Well, this is your opportunity to join in. We'll bring you in on the broadcast. We'll see you in the green room, and then we'll slide you on in so you can be a part of the show. Like I say again, while we're waiting for our good buddy Deshaun Tate, we want to talk a little Hawks basketball. The Atlanta Hawks are a team that is driving me and most other Hawks fans, even though I cover them, I have to admit I am kind of a fan too, driving us crazy. I mean, I've never seen a team that has been so inconsistent with so much talent. His Hawks team is really a team that has talent at multiple positions, especially at the point guard position led by Trae Young. And to see this guy and to see this team, many of the players on this team that made that spectacular run 2 years ago to the Eastern Division Finals, and I think a Trae Young injury and a few bounces of balls away from possibly being in the NBA Finals, a team that we thought was just one or two players away from being a championship caliber team. We saw them fall back last year to only be a few games over 500, but they made some blockbuster moves in the offseason, one of them bringing in San Antonio All-Star guard DeJounte Murray. And everyone thought, like I thought, that, okay, now we got a guy that can take some of the pressure off of Trae, let him be available for more off-ball opportunities. Now have another bona fide offensive scorer to go along with Trae, a guy like him that can get his shot, on his own, doesn't need help. He can bring the ball up court. He's a adept ball handler, has great moves in the paint, a great slasher. So we thought, okay, we're good. But one misstep they made in the offseason, I think, was trading Kevin Huerter, because unbeknownst to us, by trading him, also with no Gallinari, and being in a spot now where you didn't have these three-point shooters, that this was going to be a major problem, that the three-point shooting for the Hawks would drop off dramatically. Now, I say dramatically. Statistically, it doesn't look that way. I think they're only a couple percentage points off from where they were last year. So if you extrapolate the math, you say, okay, well, man, brother, what you're saying is 2%. That means out of 100 shots, they've missed two more. That sounds good in theory. But if you think they're taking probably, I think the total is going to be somewhere around, for a season, they might take a grand total of between 1,600 and 2,000 three-point shots. Well, now that's a lot of missed shots. You're talking probably around 40 missed shots. And you say, well, hey, whoa, brother, time out a second. Over a whole season, what does that really mean? Well, what it means is those shots oftentimes are key shots. If you watch a game, oftentimes three-pointers are game shifters. They're momentum changers. And you're in a situation where when you don't have those shots, especially at key times, you could find yourself in a position where, uh-oh, you lose games. You lose that chance to come back in a game you're behind, or you lose that chance to cement a game that you're ahead. But the bottom line is that the Hawks are dramatically missing three-point shooting. The other thing, too, is that with all the adjustments they made, bringing in DeJounte Murray, a defensive specialist, bringing in a new coach, which we also thought was going to help us out, Quinn Snyder, a guy who's won over 50 games at Utah as a head coach on multiple occasions, a guy who was I don't want to say a guard whisperer, but Donovan Mitchell was an all-star in Utah. He pulled Trae aside after they played at Cleveland, where he's now at, and basically told Trae, hey, man, this guy may be an all-star. He's going to be tough on you, but he's going to make you great. But so far, the Hawks have looked pretty much the same as they looked before, an up and down team, a team that is inconsistent and unable to close out games in the fourth quarter. We saw that just the other day. A team they should have beaten, a team where they had a 10-point lead with about 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and they got Ugats. So I'm just saying, I'm wondering what it's going to take to get this Hawk team to be the type of team that or at least close to what we saw a few years ago. Well, speaking of seeing, I see in the green room a couple of people who have jumped in with us. First of all, we're going to go back to the studios of the legendary WIGO, pace at 1570 AM. You guys are going to see the lady behind the scenes who produced the show for the radio station. She's also an on-air host. The lovely Lady E is in the building.
Oh,
Well, good.
well, hello, hello. Let everybody get a closer look. Wow, I was so far away. How are you, Jonathan?
How are you? And I'll zoom you in myself there. We're doing great. Good to see you. Good to hear you. And I see, as always, on Saturday, you are adorned in your Falcons gear.
Yes, well, it was raining, so that helped me put it on.
There you go. Well, look, it's good to see you. Just tell people really quickly about the great things that we have going on at the legendary WIGO Pace at a 1570. It's a new world.
It is a new world. You guys got to come out to our Tasteful Tuesdays. Or every Tuesday beginning at the end of this month, and it'll go until you say stop. Starting at 4 o'clock in the afternoons. We are located at 2424 Old Rex Morrow Road in Morrow, Georgia. And you can also call us at 404-361-1570 at the legendary WIGO.
1570.
Yes, yes, yes. The
That's right.
legendary
So you guys,
WIGO.
that's right. People in Atlanta are familiar with that call letter WIGO for a long time, along with WAOK in Atlanta. They were the only two really quote unquote urban stations that played music, old school R&B, gospel music. Of course, now they have other stations, but that's why they call it legendary, baby, because we were part of the original. Uh, Group of stations. Well, speaking of legendary, we have a guy that has not been on our program for a while, but those of you who watch Real Talk Sports know about this young man. I call him the basketball savant. He is one of the great analysts around the country of basketball, all things basketball, college especially, but also pro and high school. He's also a featured contributor right here in Atlanta on one of the biggest sports stations in Atlanta, 92.9 The Game. Without further ado, our man traveling across the country, Deshaun Tate, is back in the building. What's going on, sir?
Good morning to you, Rev, Lady E. I appreciate you guys for having me this morning. Let me say this real quick, Rev, because I'm out here in the heart of the city, the busiest city in the United States, for the East Regional. Going to attend tonight's game at Madison Square Garden and decide who goes to the Final Four. I don't know how you guys do the New York living out here, Rev. I don't understand it. But my closet at home in Atlanta is bigger than this hotel room, so everything's tight. I barely
Wow.
got a chance to be able to get all of this set up and find some space to be able to join you guys today.
Oh, man, listen, we appreciate you. And yeah, it is. New York is a different animal. It's kind of
Hmm.
reminds you almost like Tokyo and other big congested cities. Land space is tight. You got to make it do what it do. But I got to ask this question. For years and years, especially me being an OG, it used to be the Garden always said this to the NCAA. They said, nope, we have the NIT. We're going to do this thing. What does it mean to have the Eastern Regional Finals at the Mecca of basketball, Madison Square Garden?
I think it's great. I think that Madison Square Garden should be a permanent destination for the NCAA tournament, whether it be for the first weekend, first and second rounds, or whether it be for the a regional semifinal and regional final game. It's like no other experience. I haven't been to the most different arenas, but I have been to quite a few. Been to a lot of Final Fours, been to a lot of places. There's reasons behind why Madison Square Garden, holds the kind of cachet that it does. All of the history and things that have transpired and taken place at Madison Square Garden, I think it kind of speaks for itself. I love the idea, probably more than anything, of what makes it maybe the most interesting environment to me is that it's not built up, it's built out, and kind of makes feel like everything is kind of like right on top of you. They've done a great job with the infrastructure amongst other things, and it's pretty obvious as to why it's loved the way that it is.
Yeah, man, it is. It's just an incredible spot, and so much great basketball has been played there. I just mentioned before you came on, and we want to again give a big shout out to to the family and friends of the captain, as he was called for so many years, Willis Reed, passing away this week at the age of 80. And of course, one of the most iconic moments in sports came when I think I was about 10 years old as the great Marv Albert, that back then just a young whippersnapper, made the call of the century when he just simply said, "The captain has hit the floor," and Madison Square Garden erupted as the Knicks were playing, being an underdog against the Lakers, thinking that Willis Reed would not be able to play Game 7, but came out, hobbled out, hit 2 quick buckets, didn't play the rest of the game. Knicks won under an epic game by Walt Frazier. But yeah, one of the great moments in sports right there in the Garden in New York City. So yeah, man, it's just phenomenal seeing it there.
It is, and especially like I said, it's March Madness. We've had enough madness already as it is so far in the NCAA tournament. A lot of I tell people all the time, you got MLB, postseason in October, and you got NBA finals, and I know I crack a lot of jokes, called Super Bowl the Stupid Bowl, and amongst other things. I love to kind of poke a little bit of fun, but nothing beats this. This is the most highly anticipated, unpredictable time of the year. You got teams talking about making it to the Final Four. We're going to see teams advance to the Final Four after today. That's never been there before. Never, even thought that we would get to a point where we're seeing some of the things that we've seen. I had the honor of last week having the opportunity to see a number 16 seed beat a number 1 seed live and in person.
Incredible.
A lot of these guys, excuse me, and I'm gonna wrap up, but a lot of these guys are not going to see an NBA floor ever again. These are long-lasting memories. Some guys are going to go off and become doctors and lawyers and attorneys, and respectfully, some are going to shake fries and flip burgers at McDonald's, or going to bag groceries, or whatever the case may be. But no matter which way that you go, one thing that you will always have that nobody will be able to take away from you is this experience that you will share with your kids, that you will share with your grandkids. And that's just life for all of us at the end of the day. No matter what your profession is, about making life-lasting memories and friendships and networking, developing and establishing relationships with people, and aspiring for your dreams, goals, and aspirations to come true. And after today and tomorrow, we're going to find out some teams that are going to be doing exactly that and moving on to the Final Four in H-Town next weekend.
Speaking of that, that's a great segue. We're going to take a quick little break because we want to talk to you about some of the big upsets and the teams that you think might go on to get to that Final Four. You're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey, sports fans, tune in for live high school football Fridays, 7:30 p.m. on RealTalkSports.net. Check out your favorite Metro Atlanta teams as they do battle on the gridiron. It's your high school game of the week, live streaming free Friday nights on RealTalkSports.net. For more sports coverage and great sports talk, catch the Real Talk Sports Show Tuesdays, 8 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch. Brought to you by Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, a business giving back to their community. Give them a call at 678-364-3979 or check them out online at AllenVigilFord.net. Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions or shop 24/7 online at AllenVigilLincoln.net.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
And we're back. Them fat fingers, I get them working there on our production board. Yeah, just again, welcome you guys back here. You're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, Minister Jonathan Simmons. Right to my left there is our basketball savant, the one and only Deshaun Tate. And right beneath us is our producer and all-around good gal back in the studio. Lady E is in the building. Well, Deshaun, listen, it really, one of the things I said, and I'll pop up on the screen. What came to me was, there'd been a little dip in, March Madness, but my question is it back better than ever? Because as you can see there, we got a quick pop up there, the K-State Wildcats, one of the teams that kind of is bursting onto the scene, so to speak, for those of us who don't know. What's it been like, and why we've had not just one or two upsets, but upsets in every round? What's been kind of the theme behind all this, do you think?
I'm not sure that March Madness has really gone anywhere. So people say, where's March Madness been, and why is college the way that it is, and this and that, and kind of seems like, is it better than ever? Is it coming back? Coming back? I don't. In my household, it hasn't gone anywhere. Respectfully. But I think one of the reasons why you're seeing things happen the way that you are, obviously, it's a different game now. You got NIL deals, you've got transfer portals, the parity obviously within itself. Some teams or players are rather go other places to put their own stamp on a program. These days, it's not about just going to Duke or Kentucky, Kansas, UCLA, Indiana, Michigan State, North Carolina. It's people want to go other places. And not only are, you used to hear about in the transfer portal where players would transfer from, mid-major and smaller, low major schools up to, the high major or Power 5 conference programs and institutions. It's not just like that anymore. Some of these guys are actually transferring down to go to smaller institutions, which I think it's a good thing in its own way, as long as it's good for that particular player. But I'm not sure. I mean, it's always been madness. The last few years, we haven't had to wait until March to get some madness. I know you'll love this stat, Rev. This is only the second time in the history of the NCAA tournament since 1979 that a Duke, a Kansas, a Kentucky, and North Carolina did not advance to the second round. To the second weekend, at least the Sweet 16. And it's not only the two times that it has happened, but those two times that it has only happened has both happened in 2 of the last 3 years on top of that. This is also the first time that none of the Elite Eight teams, that none of the number 1 seeds have made it to the Elite Eight either. So change is good for everybody. It's time to get used to some different things. You don't read the names on the front of the uniforms anymore. It's just about going out there and playing the best brand of basketball at the right time.
Yeah, there's no doubt, man. I mean, lady, let me ask you, as a more casual observer, has it kind of grabbed your attention more, or is every year you kind of peek in and see what's happening with March Madness?
This year I had to peek in because during March Madness I had to move, so I hadn't really seen what was really going on lately. But I'm hearing, Mr. Tate talk. That's interesting.
Yeah, so when I hear Deshaun talk about it hasn't gone anywhere, I said, see, only the savant would say, nah, basketball is always hype. Because I got to tell you, lady, when I call on Deshaun during this time of year, it's always like it's a hope and a prayer, because literally this man is traveling all around the country in some cases to go. Now I know he's somewhat sad because, speaking of legacy teams, his Sparties unfortunately took an L, an epic game. One of the games that makes March Madness what it was. What do you think about that game? I know obviously you wanted your Sparties to win, but just talks a little bit about the excitement of that game, the energy, the back end flow, and what making K-State, Kansas State really be a team to watch as we go forward in this tournament.
Yeah, I think, with that being the first game of the tournament, in terms of things that you have high expectations for, you look for the buzzer beaters and overtime games and all these things. That was the first overtime game that you got of the tournament. I think maybe the only overtime game you got of the tournament. And I think you'd be really hard pressed to find someone that wouldn't agree with the fact that it was the best game of the tournament. But Kansas State is obviously a really good team. I put them on my bracket to go to the Final Four. They win one more game on tonight, 6:09 p. Eastern Standard Time tip-off at Madison Square Garden, and they'll be on their way. It's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination because we talk about teams that have worn the Cinderella slipper, right? The Fairleigh Dickinson earlier in the first round. Taking down, Purdue, like a David versus Goliath type of, feel or vibe or energy that you got from that. And the same thing with Princeton, making it all the way to the Sweet 16, almost making it to the Elite Eight. Florida Atlantic is still playing, and they're a mid-major within their own right. Now, you can't tell anybody, on that roster, as I, spoke with them in the post-game press conference on the other night. They said, we don't feel like we're a Cinderella at all. Like, we're supposed to be here. They've only lost like 3 games on the season. They've won over 30 on this season. They've got a really good team. Would it surprise me the least bit to see them beat Kansas State? No. I do have Kansas State winning that game and advancing. So I think it does end here for Florida Atlantic. But, they're definitely not trying to hear any of that. And it's probably just adding a little bit more fuel to the fire with me, counting them out on advancing to the next round.
What do you think was, again, we know it can always happen, but to see 2 number 1 seeds and a number 1 overall seed both get knocked out, what happened to Houston and Alabama? Is it a case of just karma, or what do you think on those 2 teams?
Yeah, I think with Alabama is crazy because I feel like more people wanted to see them lose than they do Floyd Mayweather, which is crazy kind of think about it. But, if we're just being real with ourselves, we all understand or overstand rather the unfortunate set of circumstances around why so many people paid attention to Alabama this year, which respectfully, and I hate the fact that someone had to lose their life in this process and all of these other things. But just talking about them as a basketball team is why we should be having conversations about Alabama yesterday and about Alabama today. Those guys, and I'm not here to judge or say this way or that way or try to excuse or sweep anything under the rug. Again, it was unfortunate that someone had to lose their life in the process of all of this during this season. But that just goes to show that 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old, young men playing with a lot of pressure, weight on their shoulders, cameras in their faces, questions, microphones, and can't even do the thing that they were here to do, which is play basketball. After, authorities and so forth, kind of ruled players out of the case. So I think it did help prepare a little bit more for the professionalism, amongst other things. Not saying that they did everything right, but for what they're about to face going on to the next level. But they upheld themselves relatively well. As far as Houston goes, Houston came in with a lot of pressure themselves. Next week's Final Four is going to be right in their own backyard in Houston, Texas. Not too many teams can say that they've accomplished that before they even play in it, let alone actually win the whole thing. I think Houston kind of ran into an instance where you've seen, with maybe not as much with Purdue, but I think we've seen with Virginia in the past. And some other teams where if they struggle to score, Tennessee this year also, if they struggle to score, great defense, great schemes, great systems, all of these different things. But if you put them in a position where their back is up against the wall and you got a 10-point, a double-digit lead on them, it's going to be hard for them to come back because they don't have the high-powered, efficient, high-octane offense, scoring, volume, shooting, all these other things to really bring them back within the game. And I think that's something that really hurt the Houston Cougars from adding a number to the left side of the result column.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
I think Rev might have fell asleep on me. I tend to do that to people from time to time where we get to rolling on basketball.
I know, right? But wow.
It just kind of went out. But yeah, I mean, it's going to make for some really interesting matchups. I'm going to try and keep rolling here. make for some really there he is, interesting matchups. Coming up, on tonight where you have Florida Atlantic and Kansas State, and then also in the other game, the Connecticut against Gonzaga game, we're slowly starting to feel like Gonzaga is becoming the front runner now to finally, a lot of people's mind, win a national championship.
Well, Gonzaga, as you know, has been there on multiple occasions, and this is a team that went from being a mid-major to a dominant program in college basketball. That's going to be an interesting game for me, a guy that was born and reared in Connecticut, and Connecticut, until one of them loses, still has an opportunity to do a rare double-double. They've done it before where both the men and the women have both won the national title. Both of them have their got it cut out for them, obviously, with the men playing Gonzaga, and with the women, even if they went out, you still going to have to get by Dawn Staley and the still undefeated South Carolina Gamecocks. So, yeah, man, it's just, I think it's what everybody waits for, even a casual fan. It's just all this stuff is just must-see TV, no doubt about it. So now, again, your game tonight, what are you watching tonight again for us at the East?
Florida Atlantic and Kansas State. Florida Atlantic on their way to this meeting and in this game. Taking down Memphis, I think was a huge feat. That was in the first round. Obviously taking down Tennessee in the process was really big for them as well. Florida Atlantic is a team that that's got some size, has got some experience. Anytime you're talking about winning the NCAA tournament or going to the Final Four, just surviving and advancing in the tournament. You're going to have those experienced and veteran guards. They've got more than enough of that, and they're fearless. They feel like they're supposed to be here. Now, I know that that's something that they're supposed to say, but they play like they feel like they're supposed to be here. And in many ways, they feel like, they play like they've already been here before. And that's scary if you're Kansas State. What Florida Atlantic doesn't have is this 5'8" wizard of a point guard that clearly has eyes in the back of his head, and can destroy you and pick you apart from every angle. Florida Atlantic's going to have their hands full with Marquise Noel tonight, with Keontae Johnson as well. I'm not sure that Michigan State knew that they were suiting up to play Jason Kidd the other night. But it won't surprise Florida Atlantic, and if the country hasn't already been on notice, they definitely are now. I saw Carmelo Anthony at the game the other night. This kid appears to be just so special and must see TV that it can't wait for TV. I wouldn't be surprised if people started flying in after that game to New York within the last 48 hours so that they can come and see him live and in person right here in his hometown of New York City.
Oh, no, it's going to be must-see TV. Norvell set the record and broke the record that Isaiah Thomas set, and Isaiah Thomas that was very graceful and sent him a great message and talked to him on that. So, yeah, man, I mean, this is a guy that and did all this on a bad ankle.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, it's going to be quite the interesting matchup within its own. Again, I got them, advancing on to the Final Four. That's what I had on my bracket in the beginning. But there's going to also, be some other games. You're looking at, UConn and Gonzaga on tonight, and obviously tomorrow we'll finish it up to find out who goes on to the Final Four between San Diego State and Creighton, and then Miami and Texas as well. So somebody's going to win this thing that has never won it before, in terms of a coach, in terms of a program. And you can't ask for anything better than that. I tell people all the time, you may not have the Dukes and the Kansas, Kentucky, and this one and that one, North Carolina. And I'll leave you on this note, Rev, is that while you don't necessarily have that, you do have those underdogs. And I know people say, oh, it's going to make for bad ratings, or it shouldn't, because we've all been underdogs in one way or another before. So it's best to go ahead and embrace that, because the people who are talking about the ratings are going to be bad and down and this and that, well, then don't watch. It doesn't matter if you do or if you don't. This isn't going to be any less of a championship won for whoever the champion is at the end of the day, no matter what. And even more so, the fact that if you can't get behind underdogs, there's got to be something wrong with you. We've all been in positions before where, you know, we've had our backs against the wall as people and life and society, where people counted us out. And we just knew that if that door was open just enough to where I can, you know, push it open with the pinky toe nail, I'm gonna kick it down, and I'm gonna let everybody know that I have arrived. I've been waiting and scratching and clawing and biting and wear and tear and miles and just tired of being tired. It's one thing to be tired, but to be tired of being tired, and you prepare so much your whole life for these types of situations, and you just want to be able to show the world that you can play with the big boys too. And when you get your chance, you're gonna show everybody, and that's what these teams have done. So it's nobody's fault that the big boys ain't winning the basketball games. That's on them. But I'm gonna make sure that I'm doing my part. Control what you can control, and that's what March Madness is about to be about for over the course of the next, you know, week or so.
I'll tell you, brother. I mean, you summed it up right there, man. I mean, and you were a living witness of this, because it's been a journey. I mean, we call him the basketball savant, but it took a while for other people to be aware of this. And this guy would travel around often, many times on his own dime, at a great expense to his pocket and his sleep.
Still traveling on his own dime,
Rev. But he made a point to say, look, no matter what happens, I'm going to operate and let people know why I love this game of basketball and share this love with him. And his energy has, you know, it's literally what the Bible said, your gifts will make room for you. His energy has brought him from, like I said, just being a guy to now being a sought after basketball analyst for many of our top radio stations around the country, including, of course, 92.9 The Game right here in the ATL. All right, brother, you know how we do this. Before anybody leaves this broadcast, we always want to let people know how they can find out more about you, social media and website and the like. So, Deshaun Tate, the floor is yours.
At Tate's Take Hoops, TATES TAKEHOOPS. We call it where basketball lives. Catch me on social media, anywhere, everywhere. You know, Tate's Take the podcast. Subscribe anywhere you find your favorite pod. We call it the best, the most entertaining, the most informational, and the most educational basketball content on the planet in the form of a podcast. So, tell anybody, you know, everybody knows somebody that loves basketball. Don't save it for the local barbershops. Don't save it for the local sports bars. Tell your mama, tell your grandmama, tell your baby mama where they can go and get the content. That's only one place, and that's at Tate's Take.
And that's the two guys. And what we're going to do is that I'm just putting you guys on blast that we are going to be out and about, and we're going to bring the Real Talk Sports Show on the road now that we're on Saturday. So we're going to get with Deshaun and some of our great contributors located in the Atlanta metro area, and we may be at a barbershop near you. We might be at a local brunch location near you. But the bottom line is, keep your eye out for more of the Real Talk Sports Show. And remember, follow Deshaun Tate. And one more time, because I always kind of get tongue twisted.
I know it happens.
Instagram, Facebook,
Tate's Take Hoops. TATES TAKEHOOPS. Tate's Take Hoops. Try saying that 3 times.
I'm just saying, brother. Listen,
I can't even say 3 times fast. 3 times fast.
I'm about to say, and you won't get me or Lady E doing it neither. Listen, man, we appreciate you. Again, safe travels on your trip and enjoy tonight, because I'm sure it's going to be an epic battle. Take care, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Lady Deshaun Tate in the building. Great job as always, bringing us the whys and wherefores, what's going on in college basketball and basketball in general. Yeah, man, he just and the story is real. I mean, here's a guy that literally, when I first met him, I met him through my good buddy, Mr. Vincent Turner, aka Mr. Football guy. I actually started a Real Talk Sports Show with. I can't believe, Lady, it's been 15 years ago that we did our very first broadcast. And he told me several years ago about this young man who just had this passion for basketball. And he said, man, you got to have this guy on the show. And I did. And we've had him back several times. And of course, now, as I mentioned, he is a guy that is sought after all over the country, for
Wow.
people to come on. So I'm just saying, for those of you watching, whatever you're doing, if it's something the Lord has given you as a gift, I'm telling you, man, just put it out there.
Yeah.
Because when a different day now, lady, I mean, before you think about when we first started doing radio over a decade ago, the idea of you, basically outside of a radio station or TV station having your own show, you were like, well, who can do that?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
as you know, right there, WIGO, if you say I can't afford to be on the air in the regular, no problem. For a nominal fee, we can put your podcast not only on our station, but also on Spotify and all the other places where great podcasts are found. So
Absolutely. Yes.
good
I
stuff.
love Deshaun's motivating attitude.
Yep.
It's like I can do anything if I just try a little bit harder. I wish you could share some of that with our Falcons so that we can get a ring.
But I'm gonna tell you something about the Falcons. Okay, so the Falcons have an opportunity, I believe, next year to not only go to the playoffs, but make a serious run for the Super Bowl. Now, a lot of people say, Rev, there you go again, drinking the Kool-Aid. You must be on something. But at the end of the day, last year I predicted they would go 10-7. Now they flipped it; they went 7-10.
Right.
But as you know, they had the opportunity to be a 10-17 last year. It's just a few bad plays in a couple of games knocked them out of the box. If we had
Mm-hmm.
had better quarterback play last year from a guy who I thought was going to be pretty seaworthy, Marcus Mariota, the Falcons could have, in fact, went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because if they flip their record to 9-8, guess what? The way the NFC South is, it's wide open.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
Mm-hmm.
no doubt in my mind, this is a team that could have went to the playoffs. And I'm thinking this year, even though teams are going to be stronger, I just think with the additions they've made in the offseason,
Mm-hmm.
bringing in some guys that have literally all pro experience, like Jesse Bates III from Cincinnati, and also bringing in guys that are coming from a winning program. IK Jesse Bates, he played on a
Right.
Bengals team that's been to 2 AFC championships and a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the first thing he does when he comes to town, which I like, is that he said it's not just about football. He's already pledged not 100, not 1,000, but $1 million. He's pledged from his new contract to be given to various groups that specialize in helping single mothers, because like
Wow.
me and some of the other people raised by a single mom.
Right. And I was raised by a single mom as well. Yeah.
So
That-
I'm just
yeah.
saying, and know some great single moms right now as we speak. So at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, to hear about this young man coming in and thinking about, what he can do to benefit the community, and not just, hey, about getting a check, that's telling me he's a young man of character. And then they
Absolutely.
brought in, Cadis from New Orleans, a guy that came into his own last year. And what
Mm-hmm.
he said? He said one of the things that is bringing him to the Falcons is, yeah, he believes the Falcons are a winning team, but the defensive coordinator is a guy that he worked with in New Orleans. And he likes him, so it's about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So when you
Definitely.
hear that kind of stuff, it's we see it with the Hawks. 2 years ago, what they had? They developed a team chemistry. Older
Mm-hmm.
players, European players, new players, they somehow found a bond and were able to gel together, and they went on a tremendous run that almost brought them to a title. I'm thinking the same thing for the Falcons next year.
Yeah. Yeah. That relationship part is strong. You have to have that no matter where you are. If you have a good relationship with your leaders, the sky is the limit with your staff. They're going to feel good. They're going to feel like they can win, especially if you give a positive, some positive feedback, positive coaching, and say, and the way you talk to them as far as giving them that coaching, that matters as well. You can't just say you need to do this. You have to really talk as if you care. And when they feel that, that's when they want to give 100% of themselves and get that job done.
Well, speaking of that, that's a perfect way for us to end the broadcast. I'm gonna give a big shout out one more time to, speaking of a leader that gives his people room to be themselves, Alan Vigil Ford. And Mr. Alan Vigil actually is still here at the dealership on a daily basis. Matter of fact, if you guys come by and you tell me, hey, I heard you mention it on the show, I'll bring you and introduce you to a guy who's a living legend. Has been with Ford either with the factory or as an owner for almost 50 years. Also a retired Vietnam veteran. So this is a guy that has impacted the community. As I mentioned, every week he has been our premier presenting sponsor for high school football right here in Clayton County. So again, please guys, support local business, and what better than support Alan Vigil Ford and Lincoln. Remember, they're right here in Morrow, Georgia, 6790 Mount Zion Boulevard, right in the heart of Morrow. You can shop them 24/7 online at alanvigilford.net. And good news, if you say, hey, well, I want to connect with someone in the dealership, that would be moi. You can go ahead and hit me up on my office number at 678-364-3979, or I'll help you out here. You can also call me directly on the cell phone. I'll pop that up for you right here. 678-410-9833. All right, guys, we got to go. Thank you so much for listening, especially those of you who are listening and watching on WIGO. Pacesetter 1570 to Lady E, we thank you so much for doing your thing as producer and also being on-air host on the show. We can hear you, what is it, Sunday mornings? I mean, excuse me, Sunday afternoons, 2 o'clock. Did I get it right?
5:00 p.m.
There you go.
History,
All right, guys.
the song, the artist. All right.
You want to hear about the legendary R&B? Remember, keep it locked for great radio programming 24 hours a day at the legendary WIGO 1570 Pacesetter, or just simply go to www.WIGO1570.com. All right, everybody, until the next time when we see you again, God bless you and have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, whichever may apply. So long.